Hey everybody, so I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, and I haven't gotten it done. One thing is always come up and I haven't. So I was gonna do it for the 6-month anniversary of my stroke, and I didn't get it done, so now I'm going to do it for the 1-year anniversary of my stroke, which is Monday, March the 14th. I'm actually recording this on the Thursday before, so today is actually Thursday the 10th, but I'm not going to post it until Monday. So there won't be a Disney video today if you're watching it waiting for that Disney video, but I'm going to try and get one edited together before next Monday, so hopefully there'll be one later on this week. I'm not going to promise. The next one is going to be my Enchanted 10K video, so like I said, I'm hoping that I'll get it done and get it up before the end of the week, but by next Monday for sure. Really, I just wanted to tell everyone what happened when I had my stroke, and I know that like those of you closest to me have probably heard the story, but not everybody's heard the whole thing. So I'm just going to start from the beginning, and I hope it doesn't take too awfully long to tell. I'm going to keep it as brief as possible. I had really not done anything special that night before. It was a Friday. I had to go to work on Saturday morning, so my dad had gone to a movie. He'd asked me to go, but since I had to work, I didn't go. I had some aluminum cans that I had been collecting that I was going to recycle, and I was going to see if my dad would take them Saturday morning, so I was just getting them all ready to go. After that, I took a bath, went to bed. I woke up on Saturday morning, and I felt dizzy, and I didn't really think that much about it because I've had headaches before that have caused me to be dizzy. But I always get up and I fix myself breakfast, so since I was feeling dizzy, I just decided I would lay back down and just wait until the last minute and not eat breakfast. Well, I laid there until I couldn't lay there anymore without being late for work, so I decided, well, I'm just gonna have to get up. So I stood up, or tried to stand up, and I fell back onto my bed, and I did that probably 2 or 3 times, and it was just, I was feeling so dizzy, and the right side of my body just wouldn't support me. Well, eventually I managed to get up out of bed. I had laid out my clothes the night before, so I grabbed up my clothes. I had a backpack that I was going to take that had just things that I always take with me, a couple of books, you know, just random stuff, and I just left it laying there, grabbed my purse, grabbed my clothes, and I went upstairs because my bedroom is in the basement of our house. I managed to get upstairs. I went to the bathroom to change clothes, and still just all that time feeling really just super dizzy. After I got my clothes changed, I sat down on the couch and it was just, you know, closed my eyes, praying that it would pass. And it got to the point where I was going to have to go because I was going to be late for work. So I still live with my parents, and so I hollered back to my parents who were still in bed, and I was like, you know, one of you two is going to have to, you know, please get up and take me to work because I'm just feeling really dizzy. So my dad got up and he went outside and got the cans that I'd gotten ready the night before and put them in the back of his truck, and he was sitting in his truck waiting for me, and I didn't know he was. I thought my mom was going to be the one to take me. So he called my cell phone and said he was waiting in the truck. I was like, okay. So I got up and, you know, managed to make it to the truck, still just feeling super dizzy. And, you know, I just kind of sat there the entire way with my head leaning against the window. And the whole way there, my dad's like, I don't think you need to work today. I don't think you need to go to work today. And the whole time I was saying, well, I have to, because on Saturday mornings, it's just, you know, bare bones, me and one other person. So we took my cans first, and my dad got out and, you know, dropped them off, handed me the money. I think I stuck it in my pocket. My head's still leaning against the window. So like I said, my dad's still like, I don't think you need to work. I don't think you need to work. And I kept just telling him I had to. Well, he was going like the back way, and at one point I almost felt like I was going to be sick, so I told him to stop. He did, and I didn't get sick, but, you know, I felt really hot. And so like I said, by that point we were like just around the corner from where I work, and so we got to where I work, and the other guy that I work with just happened to be standing outside, and I just told him, you know, I wasn't feeling well. He was like, you know, I understand if you need to go home, just go home. You know, it'll be okay. I'll be fine. If I have to close up, I'll close up, and it'll be okay. So I went on back home. My dad took me back home, and the whole way there, I think you need to go to the doctor. I think you need to go to the doctor. And I told him, I was like, no, I'm gonna be okay. Just let me lay down and I'll be fine. And he just still kept on me needing to go to the doctor. Well, by the time I got home, my mom had gotten up, and I go in the house and I sit down on the couch, and Mom's like, I think you need to go to the doctor. I was like, no, just leave me alone. I'll be okay. And my sister had gotten up by that point, and she said at first she wasn't too worried about it, but apparently by this point, like, even I was saying weird stuff. And my mom finally got to the point where she was like, either you're gonna go to the doctor or I'm calling an ambulance. So I was just like, fine, I will go to the doctor. So went out to the car, and my sister went, and my mom, and they took me to one of the walk-in clinics here in town. And that at that point is when things, like, I remember it, but at the same time I don't think I remember everything correctly, because like I said, my sister was saying that I was saying weird things, and up until that point I don't think I was like saying really weird things. But so we got to the doctor, and my sister had apparently been filling out the paperwork, or my mom won, and they called the doctor out, to say, well, do you think you should even see her here? Should we just take her on the hospital? And the doctor, I think he said something like, well, we could see her here, but you may want to go ahead and take her on to the hospital. So they called an ambulance from there, and the ambulance came and picked me up at the walk-in clinic. My dad had driven on up to the walk-in clinic. So then they took me by ambulance from there to Erlanger in Chattanooga, and the ambulance, the paramedics, EMTs told my mom, my sister, my dad, and they were like, you can follow us. If we do turn on the sirens, that doesn't mean something has went horribly wrong. It just means that we're trying to get there quicker. So they ended up following me down there. They took me into the ER. And I really don't remember like a whole lot. I know they were coming in asking questions. My mom was there, and one of my sisters, my dad, I thought maybe both my sisters were there by that point, actually. My mom and my dad and both my sisters, and my friend Kelly, and my friend Leslie got there at some point, but I don't think she got there until they had taken me to my room, or I was about to be taken to the room, and our pastor was there. And like I said, they were just they were asking questions and things like that. I remember I was sleeping on and off. My younger sister had my cell phone. At one point I did have to get up and go to the bathroom, and I remember a nurse helping me go to the bathroom. Then they took me to my room. But before I went to my room, they went ahead and took me to get an MRI. And I kind of laid there in the lobby of the MRI area for a while, and then they wheeled me back, and the lady like put I don't know how long I laid there, but I remember her like, she kind of put a thing around my head, and they put earplugs in because apparently the machine is really loud. And I don't know how long the MRI took, because during that one I was kind of just dozing off and on. And like the weirdest thing I remember at one point was like, I remember laying there and thinking about my hair, and like thinking I was doing this to my hair. And then I was like, no, you're not doing that. Your arms are like I think they even kind of like strapped me down, but they may not have done that. I don't really know. But I just remember thinking I was doing this, like I was imagining doing this. And then I was like, I remember telling myself that, no, you're not doing that. But after the MRI, they took me back to the room, and my parents were there, and both my sisters and my friend Leslie and my friend Kelly were all there. I can't remember if it was later Saturday night or if it was Sunday that they did tell me that I had a stroke. They said that they had found one in the thalamus on the left side of my brain, and they thought that there were two more like in the back of my brain somewhere, but they weren't sure about that yet. So I know that they came in. It may have been like Sunday morning that they told us that, but I can't remember for sure, because eventually they did come back and they said that the stroke that was in my thalamus had gone away. It had either moved on or dissipated or whatever, and that the two that they thought that were there weren't there any, they weren't there. So either they were never there or they had moved on too. So there wasn't any like surgical intervention to try and move those. On Saturday night, my friend Amanda and her mom came by to see me as well, and they stayed for a little while and visited. They had been in Chattanooga doing some stuff for her mom's birthday, and I know Amanda's mom through Zumba because she comes to Zumba too. So we had quite a few visitors even on Saturday. Then on Sunday they took me back for the rest of the MRI, and they did a heart ultrasound. They did the heart ultrasound first, and then they took me for the rest of the MRI, because I think that the MRI that they did on Saturday was just kind of like what they do in urgent situations, and so they did the rest of it on Sunday. And by Sunday my brain was starting to like clear up, and I was still really dozy, but I was more alert, and it did seem to take a lot longer than the one on Saturday did. So I don't know if it was because I was dozing more on Saturday or if it really did take longer. At some point on Saturday, a doctor came in and said, I think she was a doctor, don't really know, it's the only time I ever remember seeing her. She had mentioned something about a hole in my heart, and that was the only time that was mentioned to me. That was the only time I saw that doctor that I remember. Later, when I had my follow-up with the neurologist in May, he said that there was a hole in my heart, but he said what it was something that 1 in 5 people have, that something as simple as a sneeze could open it up. And what it is that when you're a fetus, there is a hole between the 2 ventricles in your heart. And it's there because the blood doesn't need to be pumped out to your lungs to be oxygenated, because you are getting your oxygen from the mother. So it's not going to the lungs, it's just coming into your heart and going out to the rest of your body. So what it is when you're born, that hole kind of like closes off. And he's like, 1 in 5 people, it doesn't like close off completely properly, and it's still covered, but it's not completely like sealed up covered. And so if something happens, your body's making clots all the time. Most of the time your body destroys them itself, and nothing comes of it. But if somehow a clot gets between those and it goes out to your whole body, it could end up in your brain causing a stroke. Well, he said something had happened. It could have been caused by that. But he said they've done research that for a person who has no genetic predispositions to strokes, you don't have abnormal clotting factors, you don't have anything that is going to make you more susceptible to strokes, no high blood pressure, nothing like that, that they did a study where you could either take an aspirin a day or you could have the heart surgery. And if you had no genetic predispositions, the people that took the aspirin a day was just as well off as the person who had the heart surgery, and you're not putting yourself through open heart surgery. So he said, he's like, I never even mention it to people who have no other things that make them predisposed to strokes, which I didn't. So, like I said, by Sunday I was feeling better. I'm still a little wobbly. Sunday I had more visitors on Sunday too than I did the other days. I would name them all, but we, a bunch of my family came down after church. Several friends did. And, I was thankful to have those visitors. Even people that I hadn't seen in a while actually came to see me. Then on Monday, they sent the people from Siskin to talk to me about rehab, just because they were thinking that I would need to go to rehab, and the woman came in and she talked to me and made me do some of the touching your fingers and your nose and all kinds of stuff. And then she walked with me up and down the hall, and came back, and I got in bed and she was like, I don't really see any point in you coming to stay with us, because she's like, you're at the point now where you do have some weaknesses and you do have this, but you're at the point now that we would send you home from the rehab. So there's no, she's like, you may need to do some outpatient type stuff, but she's like, we would send you home from the inpatient. So you know, she didn't advise that. Also on Monday they did an angiogram. You know, went in up and checked the vessels in my brain just to make sure all of them were okay. Probably the worst part about the angiogram was after you have it done, you have to lay like flat and still for 6 hours. And I was okay until about the 4.5 to 5 hour mark, and then I really had to go to the bathroom. And so I laid there, and I just got to the point where I had my sister go ask the nurses, and then they were like, well, you need to lay still a little bit more. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna lay here because I am not using a bedpan. And so finally it got to like 20 to 30 minutes before the 6 hours was up, and I was like, just go ask them again. So she went and asked them again, and they're like, okay, she can go to the bathroom, just keep, you know, tell her to keep her leg as straight as possible. So I did, and came and laid back down, and by about 5:30, 6 o'clock that evening, my 6 hours for the angiogram laying flat was done, and all of the tests they ran with that had come back okay. There was nothing wrong, so they decided to go and discharge me. My discharge papers didn't say anything about rehab, not even outpatient. The only thing really that it said was no running until I saw the doctor for the follow-up, which was kind of disappointing for me because I had been training at that point with my friend Amanda to do a half marathon, and it was like 2 months from that point. But I did check, and they said it would be okay for me to walk, so I did get to walk, but they were like no running till the follow-up. So I did. I remember thinking, like, as they were wheeling me out of the hospital, just like I was hoping they were making the right decision about sending me home, because I was still like really dizzy. I mean, well, dizzy's not the right word. Still really kind of just, I didn't feel like my vision was right. And not so much so like when I first got there, like in the doctors that Saturday, and the doctors were coming in to see me, I was laying, and I didn't even really necessarily realize I was doing it, but I was kind of laying there with one eye closed, and it was usually my right one, just because when I'm doing only one eye closed, it's easier for me to do my right one for some reason. And the doctor was like, you know, why are you doing that? I said, because if I open both of them, there were two of everything. I had double vision really bad. And by that point, the double vision was gone, but I didn't feel like things looked right, you know, and so I was really hoping that they were making the right decision and letting me go home. But, you know, all of the tests came out okay. They never did really find anything that caused it. It was just, you know, a fluke, I guess. So now I'm doing okay. I won't say that I am 100% the way I was before, because I do get frustrated still, and I have to remind myself that it's nowhere near like it was a year ago. Like the biggest things, and I know a lot of people still, you know, see me and they think that I made a full recovery, and really for the most part that I have. But I still get tired a lot easier than I used to. I know people don't see that because I try to keep going all the time, but I do still get tired. Not as bad as I did by any means. I don't even want to act like it was anywhere near like it was back then, but I still I feel tired a lot more often. And the other real thing that I notice is that my vision is still a little wonky sometimes. And the best way I can like describe it is that like I almost feel visually like overstimulated sometimes, and it's not even as bad. Like it was the first time the other day that I noticed doing it in a while. But like especially if I'm somewhere that there's like a lot of colors or just a lot of things to look at, I almost feel like I don't know where to look, and I never really felt like that before. One of the other symptoms that I had right after I had the stroke, and it lasted for a couple of months, and it was weird because I didn't ever really find anything online necessarily as to regard to it, but I didn't feel hungry. Like seriously, for the first probably 3 months, I did not feel hungry. Like, I would eat because I knew I needed to eat. Like, it had been long enough that I should be hungry. But I just didn't feel hungry. Sorry, my battery died, so I hope I've got the zoom in the general vicinity of where it was a minute ago. But anyway, so probably in the first three months or so, I could count on one hand how many times I even started to feel hungry, which it was a really weird feeling, because I would tell my boss like every day that I was getting hungry. Yeah, that's definitely, that's moved on now. I feel hungry a lot now, so that's a good thing. So really, like I said, like just being tired a lot and like the vision thing every now and then is really the only things that really get to me. So anyway, I know that I am very lucky. I thank God often for it not being any worse than it was. You know, I know that it could have been so much worse than it was. You know, my grandmother, you know, of course my grandmother was almost 80 years old, but she had a stroke, you know, 7 months before I had mine, and she passed away. But, you know, the doctors were all just baffled, because here I am, this girl who, I'm not in like the best physical shape by any means, but, you know, I run 3 days a week. I do Zumba 2 days a week. You know, I walk numerous times, you know, go for walks numerous times, and I have a stroke. And that's one of the things that still like frustrates me. And I don't want it to, because I don't wish what happened to me on anybody. You know, the funny, I was gonna say it's scary, but the funny thing is, like, I don't ever really remember feeling scared. Like, I know my family was scared to death, but I don't ever remember feeling scared, because I just kind of had this feeling that everything was gonna be okay. You know, I didn't really think about it being that big of a deal, even though it was a huge deal. But I don't wish that on anybody, because it is an ordeal to have to go through. But, you know, even since then, when I go out on my runs and I have a car that passes by me and I can smell the cigarette smoke coming from their car, or, you know, you see people who don't exercise at all, or who are tremendously like morbidly obese and overweight, and, you know, still just, you know, eating gobs of food, and I get frustrated then, because like I said, I don't want to, because I don't wish that on anybody, but it boggles me sometimes to feel like I was the one that had the stroke. You know, this girl who runs 3 times a week and does Zumba and walks, and I don't eat great, but I don't eat horribly either. So, you know, it blows my mind that this would happen to me, and it makes me want for people to realize that if this can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. You know, it's not, you know, it doesn't matter how healthy you think you are, it can happen to you. And so I just wish that I could get more people, my friends, my family, you know, people that I care deeply about, to realize it can happen to you. It can happen to me. It did happen to me. So, you know, I know that every day I am still recovering, and I know it's a year later, and I'm thankful for it to be a year later, and that I'm here to tell this story to everyone. And I will forever be able to say that I'm a stroke survivor, and I will say that probably more times than my friends and my family want to hear, because it's probably already getting on their nerves. But I am a survivor, and I'm proud of that. I'm happy about that. So where I'm at now, I have done a triathlon. I have finished 2 half marathons. I have done a 10K. I have done several 5Ks. You know, like I said, my life has gotten back to pretty much its normalcy, and, you know, I couldn't be happier. And like I said, I will forever be a stroke survivor. So I'm sure that I have left things out. Like I said, I don't pretend to be an expert. All I know is what happened to me and what I've been through. So if any of you have any questions, comments, as long as they're nice, you can leave them down below in the comments. You know, just share your story, or someone you love story, or whatever. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to, that was one of the things that I wanted to do this year, just you know, keep more of like, I've been doing daily vlogs, and it's for me. It's I hope other people watch them as well, but it's definitely for me. Like I said, I want everybody to share in the things that I love. I love Disney. I won't say I love running, but I do run. Zumba. I love God, my family. I just want everybody to share in those things that I love, and because I feel like I'm lucky to be where I am and to have the opportunity to share the things that I love with everybody. So anyway, that is my story. Like I said, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.